a lot of drama coming from Plattner's campaign. And this is a must-win race if Democrats want the Senate.
Jake, it definitely is. I mean, mathematically speaking, it is very difficult, if not impossible, for Democrats to win control of the Senate without winning Maine. And this is why. Susan Collins is the only Republican member of the Senate who's up this year, who's effectively from a blue state, a state that Kamala Harris won in 2024. That's why Democrats have placed so much hope in Maine. But at the same time, so much scrutiny is coming on Graham Plattner. He's an oyster farmer. He's never been in politics before. He's endured one sort of self-induced controversy after another. The latest, as you said, is a weekend of revelation about him sending sexual messages to a woman while he was married. Well, his wife is pushing back on all of this, saying that those are not the issues that voters are concerned about.
I find it really shameful that there's a group of media outlets and people who are willing to spread gossip instead of talking about real issues that Graham is running on.
What is your take on this Graham Plattner situation and the fact that Democrats are doing what I would argue maybe Republicans have been doing since 2016 and just saying,
Yeah. Because of last cycle and the ones leading up to, I think the bar for entry, the Democratic Party, has been placed so low because we put it there. You know, Democrats right now just want a candidate who can, speak plain English and communicate to voters and be authentic.
But I think we have lost the plot on authenticity. I think Graham Plattner is cosplaying working class. He wears it like a Halloween costume, and that has been placed on him by the same people who have run a lot of progressive candidates across the nation. In this pursuit of getting to know the everyman, we keep picking these people who I think show the worst parts of society. If I am to believe that Graham Plattner can relate to everyday Americans, then that means I am to believe that everyday Americans are okay with Nazi tattoos because they get them accidentally when they're drunk, or because they served in the military. They have very regressive views on race and on gender. I just cannot accept the fact that to gain the working class, we have to dress up people who show the lowest of our values.
It does speak to how hungry Democrats are for new blood, though.
Then give them real anti-establishment people.
Governor Janet Mills is a very credible person. Governor Janet Mills is very credible, and she lost.
Right. I mean,
new leadership.
This is just
Also someone under
right?
50.
Voters have a say in this. And if you look at the numbers, Graham Plattner, he has only gotten more popular, okay, since the controversy, since the tattoo, since all of it. That's a real thing. And then, down in Texas, where Ken Paxton was going up against John Cornyn, all of the dirt is out there on Ken Paxton. And I was looking at some favorability and unfavorability numbers for the two of them, Paxton and Cornyn. And voters are just as favorable toward Paxton as they are to Cornyn. They are not the same. But voters don't seem to care about the scandals.
Well, I would be very clear. They are not the same. Ken Paxton was acquitted at his trial in the Senate of the crimes he was accused of.
But now, his wife has accused him his wife has accused him of things that has led her to seek a divorce on biblical grounds. So,
and I am sure we're going to hear. I'm sure we're going to hear all about it.
There's a lot of corruption, but there's a lot of personal issues too with him.
But just to be clear, on the corruption stuff, that he was impeached by the Texas House, he was acquitted by the Texas Senate. So I think we should be clear about that. That is not the same as someone who has exhibited a pattern over 20 years. I mean, it's not just the Nazi tattoo.
There's a pattern of prosecuting.
It's not just the Nazi. It's the belief that women are responsible for their own rape. I mean, that's appalling and absurd. To have someone believe that women are somehow responsible for being raped, to have people who obviously, sexually message their women while they're married, like these are all bad things, and they just keep getting worse with Graham Plattner. And I think Democrats, as you've seen, a couple of them make pretty strong statements against him. I think they're realizing that the wheels are coming off the bus.
Are affairs disqualifying? This one. Yeah. Marital affairs.
To be clear, I think the Nazi tattoo is disqualifying. I think the idea that women are responsible for their own rapes is completely disqualifying, and he should be punched in the face. To be frank with you, I mean that's an appalling thing to say. I think that's different from someone who's accused of bribery and was acquitted. I think that's someone who's has issues with his wife that we're going to all hear. We are going to hear all about Ken Paxton's divorce as the trial, I believe, even starts while he's campaigning.
In a couple
it's going to be
but this latest Graham-Plattner scandal is over sexting with staffers. Let me just read. I have to read this statement because this is from his wife. His wife told CNN and reporters, I confided deeply personal details about my marriage to someone who I considered a friend. In the months since, I've had to watch as she spreads malicious gossip to anyone who would take her call. I trusted this person with the most private chapter of our lives, the early days of our marriage before any campaign was on our mind, and I'm deeply hurt by her betrayal and invasion of our privacy. I know who Graham is. I know the man that I married and the husband that he has been to me on the best and worst days of my life. That hasn't changed, and it won't. That is what his wife says. But the piece of this is that it's adding to many things. Yeah. But our voters sort of just don't care about, I mean, and maybe I should go further back because, Donald Trump has cheated allegedly on his spouses before. He's been divorced several times. There was also Bill Clinton. Are we done with this stuff? Do personal mistakes not matter in politics anymore?
Sadly, I mean, I'm nostalgic for a time when Bush getting a DUI or Obama smoking weed was shocking and led the news for a couple weeks. And sadly, I think we're at a point in American politics where it isn't disqualifying. And it's funny, I was kind of surprised to see the reaction from folks like Cory Booker now sort of raising questions about support for Graham-Plattner in light of these affairs, because frankly, adultery and infidelity now seems so ubiquitous in American politics. So to me, that wasn't even the most shocking thing. I think Democrats, though, now are trying to backpedal a little bit because they realize it's this constant drip, drip, drip. It wasn't just the Totenkopf tattoo. It wasn't just the basically making fun of veterans for getting shot at. It wasn't the sexual acts in porta potty. It's continuing to drip, drip, drip. And so I think they're kind of aware that maybe they've made this Faustian bargain. And bear in mind, I think for so long they tried to say, we have the moral high ground because Donald Trump. That was their argument for everything. And so now they've somehow embraced somebody with a Nazi tattoo. I mean, it's kind of beyond the pale. Yeah. And I would also note too, but this is all in the name of getting out Susan Collins, who is the most moderate Republican in the Senate. It's a really tough situation for them to say, elect this guy with the Nazi tattoo to beat out Susan Collins.
Right. Okay. Right. These personal and professional failings by both of these bad men are not disqualifying, but they might lose them the election. It might be enough because not everyone cares that they're allegedly corrupt and allegedly taking bribery. It is a pattern with Paxton, by the way. A lot of different accusations, but some people do, and that could be the difference in these tight races. And they didn't have to choose these people who have these problematic records. And I'll just say one last thing: as someone maybe who's the only tattooed person on the panel, that you know what your tattoo is, okay? Yeah. No, I have 2 tattoos. I know exactly what they mean, okay, because they're tattooed on my body. And if I got drunk and got something tattooed, I wouldn't keep it for 15 years without checking it out. You could Google it now. You do a Google image. 15 years, 17 years later, I don't buy it. I think people know what their tattoos are. I'm here to tell you.
Now I want to know what your tattoos are.